Hello, fourth grade. How are you? Today is our last class right before our vacation for 2 weeks in July. And I'd just like to show you a couple of problems that were maybe more difficult for some students. It's been a pleasure to teach you this school year from March, April, May, and June. We're just going to recap some of the very difficult problems that we had on the diagnostic exercise that we did on Monday. This exercise is no longer open, it's no longer accepting responses, but some of the questions were somewhat difficult for some of the students, so I'm just going to explain some of those problems. You can see these problems that were more difficult. Out of the 41 students that responded were multiplication, division, estimation, and some other types of problems. The data is represented by 61% of 4th grade A students and 39% of 4th grade B students from those that responded. The first question says, for example, which letter is represented by the number 49,000? Let's take a look at this question. If we look at the question, we can see that 49,000 is actually represented by the letter P. Okay, Q is 52,000 and R is 54,000. So none of those are correct. It's actually P. Okay, that was the letter that was represented on the number line. Okay, the next question says, which letter is represented by 6,100? Well, if we look at the numbers on the number line, 6,100 is actually not on the number line. None of these letters represent 6,100. So the answer is ninguno, none of them. Most students got that correct. Nice job. 56% of them got that correct. The next question says, the dog's number weight is closest to, well, this one was not graded. There was no number value associated with it. But if we round this number, it's approximately 55.8, or on the number, we see 56. So the answer should have been approximately 56. Okay, that one is difficult, but it's actually a concept we're going to learn more about during the next couple of months and in 5th grade. So don't worry about that for now. The next question says, round the number to the nearest 10. 297. If we look at 297, rounded to the nearest 10 should be 300. Most students got that correct. Congratulations. The next question says, round the number to the nearest 100. Most students got this one correct as well. 100 is rounded, the closest number rounded to the nearest 100. Again, most students got this one correct, but it was relatively difficult. So let's actually look at this problem with a little bit closer eye. Okay, if we have, for example, 2,304, we can estimate that, or approximately make that 2,300. We would just get rid of that 4 right there. So 2,300. And if we look at this number, 996, we can estimate that as approximately 1,000. Now, since we are subtracting, or in this case it says minus, we're going to subtract these two numbers. 2,300 minus 1,000 is 1,300, which is that answer right there. Okay? The rest of those answers were not close at all. So there you go, there's your explanation. The next question says, blank is a factor of 24. Well, if we look at these numbers, 6 is a factor of 24 because 6 times 4 equals 24. No other number like 9 or 11 or 25 can go in that blank, only 6. Most students got that correct. Congratulations. The next problem says, write the missing factor. Well, we have most students, 85% of you, got that factor correct. If we put 7 in that blank, 7 times 3 equals 21. Next question says, oops, erase that, there we go. The next question says, 30, is 30 a factor or is it a multiple? Well, 30 is, actually 3 and 5 are both factors of 30. We can take 3 times 10, which equals 30, and we can take 5 times 6, which equals 30. So both 3 and 5 are both factors of 30. Okay, it's true that 5 is a factor of 30, and it's true that 3 is a factor of 30, but this one is the most accurate problem. Okay, so even though this one and this one were correct, this is the best answer. Okay, most students got that correct, and it's actually good to see that only 2 students responded to this one. Okay, so most students are understanding that concept. That's great. The next problem says 28 is a blank of 7. Now this problem was a little bit more difficult. You can see that 56% of students got that correct. Okay, that's a little bit more than half. We know that 28 is a multiple of 7. Okay, because 7, 14, 21, 28, these are all factors, right? 7, 14, 21. These are multiples, okay? If we wanted a factor of 28, we could say that, for example, 7 times 1 equals 7, right? Those are factors. 7 is a factor of 7, and 1 is another factor of 7, okay? But the multiples, we are multiplying the number to get a bigger number, okay? So we really need to practice that concept, multiples versus factors, right? Next problem is all about factors and multiples as well. This is just the opposite. So, right, you see these numbers are the same in both problems? I just switched it. Okay, so it looks like we still have just about the same answer, right? 53% of you guys got that correct. 7 is a factor of 28 because 7 times 4 is 28. This one was easy for most students. 2 times 2 times 8. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 8 is 32. For the next problem, we needed to multiply. This was relatively simple for most students, and I think you understood the pattern, right? Approximately 2,000 times 3 equals 6,000, and the only number that came close to 6,000 was this one. These ones don't come close at all. They're actually very similar to this first number, okay? So congratulations, boys and girls. That one was pretty simple for you. This one was also pretty simple. 68% of students got it correct, but let's do it out just to make sure that we understand. 60 times 10, well, you could take 60 times 10, and that's the same as 6 times 1, which is 6, times 100, because we have 2 zeros. So we're just going to add 2 zeros in our answer. You could also do it like this, 60 times 10. You could multiply it out like that, right? Drop down our 0. 1 times 0 is 0, and 1 times 6 is 6. So 600 is your answer. All right, let's go to the next problem. The next problem says 7,400 times 10. Well, there's an easy way to do this problem. Like we learned in class, you could just add a 0 to this number, and our final answer is 74,000. This one wouldn't make sense because that's the same number as the problem. And this one wouldn't make sense because that's adding too many zeros. So most students got that correct. Congratulations. The next problem says 2,486 divided by 2. Well, let's look at our answers. This first one doesn't make any sense because we have to change the number in some way, right? By dividing. So that's obviously not correct. And this one is multiplying, right? If we multiply 2,486 times 2, we would get that answer, I believe. So the only answer that really makes sense is this one. And if we estimate, for example, 2,486 is approximately 2,000 divided by 2, that's that's going to give us an answer that is 1,000. The only number that comes close to 1,000 is this third problem. Okay, so that should have been your answer, and 44% of students got that correct. So we'll probably have to practice that a little bit. If 60 times 50 equals 3,000, then 60 times 500 equals 30,000. What is 600 times 500? Well, you'll notice that it's going up by 1 0, right? These are 3 zeros here, 4 zeros here, and since we added another 0 onto this problem, we're probably just going to have to add a 0 to our answer, right? So just 30,000 with one more 0. So most likely that answer would be 300,000. But let's calculate it out just to make sure. 600 times 500. Drop down my zeros into my answer blank. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 5 is 0. And 6 times 5 is 30. So 300,000 is your answer. Let's go to the next problem. Now this problem was a little bit different than the other ones because you had to respond with words. Okay? So if we look at it, it says, what is a fraction? Let's scroll down to the problem on the diagnostic to see about what you guys thought about that problem. Okay, it says, what is a fraction? Well, students responded very differently out of those 41 responses. So let's actually look at some of those responses. It says, what is a fraction? Let's look at your responses. Give me a second. Here we go. We had one student, divide or separate part of a whole. Yeah, good job. We had another response. A fraction is a component of mathematics. Yeah, that's correct. A fraction is one of millions. Okay, it could be. It's possible. A numerical quantity that is not a whole. Yes. A numerical quantity that is not, yes, not a whole. Part or portion of a whole number. Yes, good. Un número arriba de otro número. Okay, yeah, that's the structure of a fraction. Good. Es el mejor profe, teacher Joseph. That was the highest response of anybody. But fraction is una parte de un entero o un número entero. Yeah, good. So most of those responses are actually correct. Good job, boys and girls. Yeah, we got that correct. Okay. The last part is, did you like this activity? 80% of students actually enjoyed this activity, so that's great. And a good portion of you said you need to study. So that's okay, that's fine. I think it's important that we review. Boys and girls, it's been a pleasure these couple of months that we've been working together to review these concepts. I hope that you have a great vacation, and we will see you in July. See you later.